Okay. So as I said, welcome to COMP2171. And today, our get settled. I think it will close after a while. I'm sorry. All right, so again, welcome. And today what we're going to be doing is just, well, apart from the basic introduction, most of you know me already. We're going to do a quick background to the course and what you should be expecting from the course, what the course is going to be like. It will take us a little time to discuss that, and then we're going to do a little exercise. All right? So everybody knows me. I'm Claudine Allen, and you can get my email address and extension from this slide. Incidentally, this slide is already posted. If you want, you can download the slide. I'm going to try to let you have the slides prior to the classes. But what it means is that sometimes I'll have to change the slides. I'll have to, replace them with the updated version, because some of the things are going to be things that we do in class. So some of the slides, when you get them, some of them might be blank. Because of course we want to have a fresh perspective when we're discussing the things in class, then I'll update the slides and put them up for you. That's all right? Okay. But at least you'll have something to follow on with and kind of do your background research if you want. Next, about the course. As I told you, it replaces COMP2170. COMP2170 was around before we had the course that is called COMP2161, the object-oriented programming course. So the original course was really supposed to be about object-oriented programming, but you have already done an object-oriented programming course. So over the years, we found that the title of the course was a little bit irrelevant or not directly representative of what we wanted to cover in the course. So what will you cover in this course? First of all, let's look back at COMP2140 a little bit. In COMP2140, what did you learn? Tell me some of the things you learned in 2140. How to do documentation of software, the software development process. What else? How to present. Okay. Anything else? But you learned, you had a very good overview of the software engineering process. And especially you would have spent a lot of time working on requirements, right? Okay. And how those requirements are translated into your architecture and things like that. In this course, our specific focus is and you have done object-oriented programming as well. And there are some things that you learned in object-oriented programming, and I will check it to see if you remember those things, right? But in this course, what we want to get at are the principles behind object-oriented design, which you should apply to object-oriented programming. So there are a lot of things that you'll learn as a programmer. For example, when you learn Java, you learn to program object-oriented. You learn how to define a class. You learn about inheritance. You learn about interfaces and so on. But how do you get the best results in your software engineering efforts in terms of how do you ensure that your program is easy to maintain? How do you ensure that your code is reusable? How do you ensure that you have high levels of cohesion in a module or in a class, and you don't have a lot of coupling between elements in your software? Everybody's familiar with the concepts of cohesion and coupling. Remember we spoke about that in software engineering? You'd have come across it, right? Okay, so I'll pause here to just briefly just interject a few things about this class. You must speak. And if I ask a question, it's not rhetoric. I rarely ever ask a rhetorical question. So it means that you're supposed to answer, right? Okay. How is the course going to be executed is one of the things we're going to talk about shortly. And then I always want you to tell me about some of your expectations, right? How the course will be executed will introduce what my expectations are. I want you to tell me some of the things that you expect and so on. All right, the syllabus is on the course container and also your outline for what we'll be doing week by week and your breakdown of the various assessment pieces that you'll be doing. These are the prescribed texts and references. The main text that I want you to have access to, whether physically or online, is this text by Russ Miles and Kim Hamilton. And this textbook is important for UML, for you to learn UML. It's very, very simple, and it gives you just what you need. It doesn't go on and go into a lot of details. It gives you the amount that is appropriate for this course. In addition to that, in terms of UML, there are millions of resources. There's like a lot of resources online, and I'll point you to some of them as the course progresses. Resources online that give you good examples and give you good guidelines for using UML. Some other textbooks that I think are very useful: Scott Ambler's Elements of UML 2.0 Style and Programming in the Large Design Patterns. For about 2 weeks, we're going to look at design patterns, and basically there are concepts that we're going to talk about that has to do with what's the best way to design software. And you have to try to work that out when you're solving your problems. But design patterns helps you to not have to work everything out from scratch. You can pick patterns based on problems that you're trying to solve, and it will help you to meet those standardized, standards for object-oriented design that help to improve the quality of your code, helps you to avoid spaghetti code, helps you to avoid high coupling, helps you to avoid some classes knowing too much about the internal design of other classes and so on. It's important for making your code reusable. Some other references which you don't really need to get, you can look at them if you're interested. There's one on model-driven development, which later on in the course we'll talk a little bit about model-driven development. There's one on OCL. I'll give you notes for it. You don't have to get the book, but you can if you want to. And there's also an architecture textbook listed here. What are some of the resources you're going to need? Everybody has Star UML already, and you all should have had some experience with Star UML. You're still going to be using Star UML. And we're going to introduce another UML tool called Use. So we'll talk about that when we get closer to where you'll need to use it. And there are other tools that you can try. As usual, we're not restricting it to any particular tool. You can try Enterprise Architect, Visual Paradigm. These are not free tools, though. You can get, for Enterprise Architect, I think you can get 60 days free. And whatever you print comes up with a watermark. Visual Paradigm has something similar. I think it has a community version. And again, you have that watermark issue. For free software, Star UML is excellent. And Use is also excellent. But Use allows you some other features and tools that would be very important, like if you want to test the integrity of your model and things like that. I would suggest, in particular for your studios, that you take a computer to your sessions. The course doesn't have a lab session, but your studio is where we want to get as practical as possible. And in the lecture sessions, which I'll talk about a little bit later, we are going to try to do some practical things in the lecture, but it will basically require you using pen and paper, all right? No, we don't want to spend a lot of time trying to set up machines. Sometimes it might be useful to have a digital camera in the sessions, and that's because you want to share your sketches. Sometimes I'll ask you to do a sketch, and everybody can do the sketch, take a snapshot. Most times, in the past, most people don't want to share their sketches, but a lot of people do. And so I usually let you take the picture, and I usually use this to take the picture, and then we sync it with this, but we can do other things. What else? So, Lecture A. There are 2 lectures. Usually we only have 1 lecture, 1 2-hour lecture. I do not like 1-hour lectures because if it takes 15 minutes to set up, it means that you have a 45-minute class and then you have to pull back down everything. So hopefully things will go smoothly. They weren't able to provide us with a 2-hour lecture, but I do understand that students last year in the review for the course, students actually asked for 1-hour lectures. And so I hope that you guys will benefit from it. But some students, a lot of students found that it was difficult for them to stay focused for more than an hour. Is it hard for you to? Right, so hopefully these 1-hour lectures, it means that basically you'll have a 45-minute session twice a week. Hopefully we'll get set up in 15 minutes. Sometimes with the streaming, it can take longer. And that's where I get concerned. But if it takes 15 minutes, it's no problem. So most weeks, you're going to get a link for a short video. We did it last year for Object Tech, and Mr. Anderson tried the same strategy for software engineering, and you guys liked it, right? But I think the Object Tech students liked it last year, so let's see if you like it. The videos are very short. They're not, most of them are not going to be my voice. There'll be videos that are freely available, but I just pull together what I want. So they're usually like 10, 15-minute videos, and they quickly explain a particular concept that we're going to cover that week. You're going to watch the video, and then you're going to do a short quiz. The quiz is usually 10 questions. Yeah. There's a quiz every week. Not every single week, but you can get 10 in all. Hold on, I'm wondering if I had turned on camera. Okay. I'm not sure if the camera is picking up. All right, so the quiz will be, you're going to end up with 10 interactive activities. Some will be quizzes, and some will be where you make a contribution to a forum. But they'll primarily be 10 MCQ questions. And they're not hard. Students usually get up like between 80 and 100% for them, right? So the quiz will open by the Friday evening and it will close right before our Monday lecture. So you have it for the weekend. The other thing that will happen in the lecture, so that is you have to do that before you come to lecture A. And when you come to lecture A, that's the Monday lecture. I'm not going to bore you with my voice. So I'll bore you with my voice only briefly. But basically, I'll introduce a particular problem, and everybody is supposed to attend to that problem. And then you can share your solution or your opinion or whatever it is in relation to that problem. And it's not for free. Imagine that. I'm not telling you to do it and not give you any points for it. So this course has some bonus points, and you're allowed up to 5 bonus points for interacting, for providing solutions and interacting and responding to this particular part in lecture A. So you'll be given an activity that allows us to go through the week's topic interactively. A student may earn up to a maximum of 5 bonus points for the semester, maximum of 1 available per week of the activity. So you just need to make sure you do it 5 times to get your bonus points. You need to participate using, you might need to participate using an online tutor. So that's one of the ways that you might be interacting. So if it's questions, I might ask you questions and then you need to provide your response. Another way that you might be asked to participate is that you might be asked to use this device. This device is connected like another participant in the Zoom session. So just to make sure that it's easy for everybody to see it, then you would be able to put something on this, like put your picture on this, the scan of your image of your sketch, put it on this and share the screen so that other participants can see it. So that's one option, that's another option, and Cave Hill will have to do the same as well. And then you might just be asked to contribute to an in-class discussion. So you might just have to explain something, all right? And then you'll only have on Wednesday when we meet at 9, on Wednesday, we'll have a traditional lecture for 1 hour. And it will be the same topic. So it means that you have 3 opportunities to cover that same material, but in greater levels of depth, right? And hopefully this will help you to get used to assimilate the material. And then of course you have your studios, and everybody here knows what a studio is like. You're going to the studio with a problem sheet, and you have something that you need to do. Right, you'll have something that you need to do in your studios. We spoke about the quizzes, I don't need to do that again. There's going to be one mid-semester exam, which is for 15%. There'll be one mid-semester exam, it's 15%, so that's a big deal. And as I said, the studios, there's going to be a problem sheet, something that you have to work on in the studios. But of course, you don't do that every single week. There are going to be 5 times when you'll be presenting. And those presentations, along with the documentation that you need to submit relevant to that presentation, will give you a maximum, will give you up to 35%. And then your final exam, of course, is 40%. Making sense so far, everybody? Good. Wonderful. Any questions? Yes. In the tutorial in the studio, you might be asked to do some coding, but the purpose of the course is not really to test you on programming, even though you will be tested on some amount of programming. The main thing is the object-oriented design concept. So you might be asked to do some modeling in the session. So it might tell you, okay, here's a problem, get onto your star UML and give us a domain model. It's not like software. Yes, we're coming to that part. Yeah, man, we're coming to that. So the days when you're not presenting related to your project, every one of the sessions that precedes one of your presentations is geared toward helping you prepare for your presentations or to understand something you need to understand to do the next part of your project. So for example, next week's studio, I haven't forgotten you. Next week's studio, we're going to be looking at, well, next week's studio is really just to start off. They're going to be looking at requirements, just selecting which project you're going to be looking at, and what do we expect from you in terms of requirements for the project. You should have a project already from last year. I'll talk some more about the project in a bit. The week after that, we're going to be looking at use case modeling. And the reason why we're going to be looking at use case modeling, the different things that you need to include in a use case model and how you do it properly, is because the following week's presentation, the following week you'll have a presentation, and that presentation will be a complete use case model. You didn't do a complete use case model you did a use case diagram, not the whole model, for software engineering. So we're going to look at use case modeling, and then you present your use case model and so on. Yes.
So how many people will be at those
Okay.
You will see who's in the studio for
we will be able to see who's. Oh. I'm thinking about your question. Will you be able to see who's in your studio? I don't know I don't think you can see, but maybe I can look for it and show it to you. I don't know. All right, so you're concerned. So the issue here, I have to make sure to repeat so that it comes up on the recording. The question is, and this might not apply a lot to Cave Hill because they don't have as many students. But the issue here is that you're concerned about the groups and the makeup of the groups. You want to be able to discriminate more about who's in a group? Okay. So we need to look at that. I understand because I saw what happened last semester, so I understand. The best thing I can tell you is that you're free to create a group. You don't need to. You're free to create a whole new group. You don't need to be in the same group you were in before. You can select any project you want to select, even if it wasn't a project that you worked on. So let's say that the 4 of you are in a group: Mishka, Queen, and Mar, and Tony. Let's say the 4 of you are in a group. But Mishka was in a different group last semester, and she had a different project working on. You can decide to use that same project even if you guys didn't know that project before. It doesn't matter to us. All right? So you can start looking at who you want to be in your group. Since there are no studios this week, then your request for the makeup of the studios is important. So I'm going to download it and make it available. And that way you can probably try and organize yourselves. Is everybody registered for the course? You have to make sure to register and select a studio so that you can have that information. And yeah, we don't want you to create your groups across studio sessions either. You have to stay within your studio sessions or your grades are going to be lost. And I'm not going to look for them, nor will Elenius. Hmm? Okay, the size now. I am hoping for the groups to be 5, but I suspect that we're going to have to do a plus or minus 1. Right? Because it depends on how many people in all. But the maximum hopefully will be 5 people. So I would say 4 to 5 people. We really don't need groups as big as 6 because inevitably somebody doesn't have enough work to do. So in summary, quizzes for 10% or online activities. Mid-semester 15%, project 35%, bonus marks from Lecture1A sessions 5%, and final exam of 40%. Are there any other questions or anything you'd like to see happening? Though I'm afraid to hear, but anything you guys would like to see in this course? Any challenges that you want to get started out? No? All right, let's move on then. So today, we're going to start a review of object-oriented design, object-oriented concepts. We are not going to, after this week, we're not going to be spending much more time on like reviewing stuff. And how we're going to start our review, because the review will go on between this week and today and Wednesday. We're going to start our reviews with a simple example. And this is just to see if we, one, for us to test out the setup to make sure that it's working. And 2, to see if we remember how to look at a problem and identify some classes and sort out relationships between the different classes and so on. Now, nothing is carved in stone. Every single solution can be different and possibly quite appropriate, right? So I'm going to go through the example and I'm going to ask everybody to try and do a sketch. So you can just use paper and pencil. Use a pencil or pen that's dark enough so that we can pick up the image and people in Cave Hill can see it, and also classmates will be able to see it properly when I project it. All right. All right, so in our example, we have been asked, by a small school to develop a software for managing students. According to the owner of the school, who is our client. Can everybody see it? Okay. Oh boy, how do I do this now? Okay. Okay, I've had my first hiccup for the semester. All right. Okay, so you can all see it. The camera should have been on. It's not picking up the web one because I wanted you guys to see it anyway. So the school has over 500 students in 25 classes. So what you're getting here is what is the current scenario, what is it that they're interested in. It's not in the form of formal requirements. This is what the people at the school are telling you. The school has over 500 students in 25 classes. There are 2 to 5 classes for each grade. So like in grade 1, you have at least 2 classes and probably up to 5 classes. And the grades range from grade 1 to 6. There are exactly 6 grades. The school's policy is that there will never be a class less than 5 or more than 20 students in a class, and the school will not go beyond 600 students. The subjects for each grade level varies, but are identical across classes in each grade level. Each class is assigned 2 teachers, and outgoing practice, one acts as a lead teacher and the other as an assistant teacher. They are both equally qualified and have equal responsibility for the administrative roles such as grade entry and report writing. For each teacher, the school would like to record personal information and qualifications. This, of course, is only visible by a principal or other person designated by the principal. The system should allow information to be stored on each student and should process all student and teacher data. For each student, the system should keep the student's personal information, medical record, and academic record. Each medical record consists of an image of the immunization records, list of allergies, list of medical conditions, and the name of the student's regular doctor. The student's record must also include the name of at least 1, but not more than 3 parents or guardians. The system requires personal information for parents or guardians to also be stored. In the system, personal information refers to full name, address, phone number, and date of birth at minimum. And the student's academic record consists of all courses along with the coursework and examination grade, attendance record for each year, and a notation for each of the courses. The system must be able to generate a report for any period selected by the user. All teachers have full read-write access to student records. Only for students in their class, the principal and persons designated by her may have, okay, punctuation is missing. The principal and persons designated by her may have access to read or write to records for all students. Parents will have read-only access to all records for their child. Any activities resulting in a change to a student record must be logged. Anyone can generate unofficial reports for any students or group of students for which they have at least read access. So normally you want to model your requirements, and that's something that I would normally ask you to do now. But what I'm going to ask you to do is only to model the domain based on the time that we have. So in other words, we need to try to do a class diagram that models the information that you have about the problem domain. Everybody knows how to do that, right? Okay, so you have, let's take 10 minutes and try that. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to ask you to do, all right, that's some of the information, but you're not going to see all. The slides are available on OER so you could download it and scroll through, because there are actually 3 slides of it. Should have printed them for you. Yeah. Guys, so we didn't do when you were doing when you did COMP2171, you were introduced to class diagrams, and in software engineering, you did a little bit of class diagrams. Doesn't have to be perfect, but no, for this one, we're going to do class diagrams in detail in this class. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to do the best you can so that we'll have something to talk about. So highlight certain things, okay? So don't be like sitting down doing nothing because you don't remember class diagrams. Just start drawing. And one of the things that you want to think about is that class diagrams can be used for a lot of different things. You can call it business domains and so on. You can use them for a lot of things. We can use it to model the problem domain, which is called domain modeling, and we can also use it for designing the system, for showing the system design, the future design system. And that will focus more on the system design. We tend to introduce a lot of other classes at that point in time. All you want to know is modeling domain. Which also means that you don't need to show unless it helps illuminates the ideas of the domain. You don't need to detail all the attributes and methods or operations. You don't need to show all that. You just want to say what different entities are in the domain itself and how they relate to each other. All right. Anybody is ready? All right. Who's first? Remember bonus max. Okay, so what's your name?
Mark.
I forgot that I need to record. Mark Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay, there's somebody after. Okay, so Mark Anthony is going to share his assignment.
Oh, I did. Oh. Yeah, all right. What position is it?
I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. I need to figure that out. All right, can everybody see this? All right, go ahead and explain.
Okay, so this is my UML class diagram for problem no got. So in the student class, we have academic records, status academic, personal, medical. Those are subclasses that integrate into the student class. Then we have class, a string itself to say, okay, which class student is in, and have grade as an integer, like I said, from 1 to 6. And then class now has a subclass, telling us which class student is in. Since it's between 1 to 5 classes, I mean 2 to 5 classes per grade. Maybe you have something like 1A, 1B, 1C, we don't know that yet, so that's class as integer. And then grade is integer in this case, the same board. Now, every class is associated with a teacher. The teacher will be known, type of teacher will be noted by string, and then you have the functions below that, the grade entry, and then to generate the grade report. Now, every student is associated with at least 1 to 3 parents or guardian. And then in the parent class, I put the personal information stuff inside there along with the student they're associated with. Another way I could have done this is to associate the personal record class with the parent class. And then medical will have the doctor, the conditions that they have, the allergies, and the IM records. For academic, we'll have the courses, the coursework grade, the exam grade, the attendance record, and the notation to say which class they're in. And then finally, the personal class has the name, the address, the phone number, and the date of birth.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, so yes, you can give me my class if you want. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to my old way, take a snapshot. This is not, the Zoom thing is not working well on the iPad. So I'm gonna, all right, so our time is up, right? But I'm going to insert this into a slide on Wednesday so that we can talk about it. Anybody else want to share anything? No, the time is up anyway. I'm sorry. We have to be really fast to get your bonus marks. So Mark Anthony, if you don't mind, we'll look at this. I'm going to insert it to the first slide for Wednesday. And we'll look at it and we'll talk about some things that we see here, what alternatives we could use and things like that. All right? All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you on Wednesday. Candice?
Yes, Dr. Allen.
Hi. All is well? You heard everything?
Yes, I heard everything. Thanks.
I know it might have been difficult for you to see the image, so I'm going to insert to the slides and we'll continue with it next time. All right, good. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Bye.
If we do the in-class work, like in pairs or